Tenet is Christopher Nolan's newest film and stars John David Washington, Elizabeth Debicki, Robert Pattinson, and Kenneth Branagh, and follows a CIA operative who's tasked with preventing another world war armed with only one word: Tenet. So, like most of 2020, this got delayed because of the coronavirus, in this case, to September 3rd, after multiple reset dates and when theaters were going to reopen and a lot of underlying factors. But it's finally here, it's out, and this is probably his most confusing film to follow. Nolan has this tendency of, at least since The Dark Knight Rises, where he likes to put dialogue lower on the sound mixing pole and put every single other sound above it. So it's kind of hard to hear some of the dialogue in this film. That might also attest from the fact that I did watch this in a big IMAX theater. Because if you're watching a film with IMAX cameras, you watch it in IMAX unless you don't have access to it. But especially when it's a Christopher Nolan film, as he's a big advocate for, one, the in-theater experience, and two, just IMAX in general. I think over half of this film might have been shot with it. But besides the point. Point is, the sound mixing wasn't spectacular. This is probably the worst he's done this, of putting dialogue below the barrel. And I have to say, I've missed watching Nolan movies in theaters. Despite that, I have not seen a Nolan film since Interstellar. I know, I should have watched Dunkirk, and I didn't. I watched it at home. And I regret that, because Dunkirk was great. But it felt good sitting back in a big theater watching a blockbuster again, because Nolan, what my favorite thing about him is that he can mix complex storylines with entertaining elements, mix it together, and he creates something great. And Tenet is a product of that, albeit it's not one of his best. It does get a little confusing. Keep in mind, this is a non-spoiler review. However, for the first hour and a half of this film, I was left wondering what the heck is going on. And, well, I mean, when you're a 2.5 hour movie, you kind of need to help that. But this is one of those films where I definitely need to rewatch this a second time, because stuff happens and things happen, and it's kind of sitting there going, whoa, that was, wow. Because Nolan does some really neat things with time in this film. Obviously, from the trailer, we saw the whole inversion idea with time, things moving forwards and backwards. It's really played up interesting in this film. I'm not going to get into it, because if I did, I would just be going on forever. But it's besides the point. Mainly, the really bad thing about this film is that it is going to be hard to follow. At least harder than some of his other films. I followed it okay. I don't know how some other people are going to fare, but I knew this was a Nolan film. I had to go into it thinking, like, well, this is something I'm not going to expect. And, yeah, it's definitely not what I expected. So, but besides the point, the rest of this film, however, is great. I love Ludwig Göransson's score here. I think it's his best since Black Panther. It definitely has the Hans Zimmer vibe. Hans Zimmer was not doing this score because he was scoring Denis Villeneuve's Dune. And, well, I mean, I don't blame the guy, since he said it's one of his dream projects he wanted to work on, so by all means. But Ludwig Göransson is great here. I love his score. The cast here is awesome. John David Washington is phenomenal in the lead role. Robert Pattinson does a great job. All the cast is really solid, really good. The characters here are definitely not standard by any means, but there's not a lot of characterization. It's kind of like Dunkirk, where you're going to remember what happens in this film. You're going to remember all the details. You're going to remember what happens and what's going on, but you're not going to remember characters' names. Because I don't remember a single character's name in Dunkirk. I don't. I just don't. I remember what happens, but I don't remember a single character's name. That's basically what's going to happen here, too. Because the characters here are not as focused as the story is. And the story here is very well told. Nolan films have always been well told, and this is just no exception. But the characters here aren't weak, but they just don't have any interest to where it's like, oh yeah, you really care about them. They're just kind of there to help serve the story, and with a great story like this, you can forgive that somewhat as the movie goes along and you're just sitting there enjoying the ride, because this movie is definitely a lot of fun to watch. The action here is great. Nolan definitely steps up his action chops here. It's not his best action though. That still, in my eyes, still belongs to Inception, but it's definitely a step up in some other aspects. There's some scenes in this film that just completely blew my mind and what he was able to do. There's a lot of stuff in here that I really was just shocked with. There's plenty of moments with some of the characters that's like, oh, you put this piece and this piece and this piece together, and it's like, but this is a very trippy film. Not gonna lie, this is going to blow your mind in some aspects. In other aspects, it's just gonna be standard, but that's besides the point. But I don't really know what else to say about this film, because if I just kept going, I would have to get into spoilers, and I don't want to do that, because Nolan is one of those people that he seldom ever spoils his movies and trailers, which thank God, because trailers have gotten nightmarish about that. But one of the great things about Nolan is that you always go into this film not knowing what to expect, and that's one of the great things about it. I went into this movie definitely not knowing what to expect, and I was shocked with what he did. I loved it. I'm going to give Tenet an 8.5 out of 10. This is definitely a film you need to go into the theaters to watch. Don't wait for this to come on DVD. I know some people are still like, I don't want to go back to theaters, but trust me, this is something worth watching on the big screen. This is the type of movie, despite how the plot is, that you need to go watch on the big screen. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to more very soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on Instagram right here, and be ready to look forward to more soon, because I got a bunch coming at you.